Good morning. This is Professional Engineer Suraj Singh Civil. I'm just going to give you a presentation about the building construction for the information of the general public, as people are not aware about the types of construction involved and procedures involved in that. Well, people know, but I just want to explain to the people in depth what I have done before in Hindi. Now I'm doing in English. Just have a look on this slide. I'm going to show to you, please. This is a presentation about building construction. The title is Presentation about Building Construction, Guidelines to General Public of Bharat, India. This is authored by me, and this is the title. Let's go to the next one. Let's keep it wider. This is a little wider now. Let's go to slide from this is slide 1. This is a title. Now next is land acquisition or conveyance deed done by the owner through authority and documents registration. Land acquisition and conveyance deed. This is very important actually. Without land you cannot build. Conveyance deed is a document that gives authority to the owner of ownership, and this is generally applied by the owner to the authority that transfer the land into the name of the owner. It could be any authority, it could be any body. The owner has to pay cost at the rate of 6% on the tentative sum at which the land was transferred, and on this non-judicial papers of equivalent amount, the deal is typed, entered, executed, notarized, etc. And the department executes on the deal after the agreement that the owners shall abide by the conditions included within the deed. There are many conditions that the owner has to abide by: the laws, the regulations, the bylaws, the conditions of the sale of the plot, and they will use the land only for the purpose for which it is allotted. For example, it's for commercial, or it is for residential, or it is for any other land use that cannot be changed. If it is changed, that goes against the provisions of the deed, and there can be resumption notice on that. Now, after that, the owner has to construct the building. For that construction, building permit is required. There can be no erection of any building without obtaining any building permit. Though in most of the places buildings are erected otherwise, but that's not a good practice. It should be duly given building permit by the authority who are responsible. It could be a development authority, or it could be municipality of the relevant area or the city. Municipality has also got the rights that actually after the development of the colonies or the plots, these authorities, for example, any authority like the Haryana Urban Development Authority or Delhi Development Authority or any other authority in India or in Bharat, they transfer a developed area to municipality, who thereafter takes care of managing or giving building permits or giving company certificates, etc., etc., forever. That's called the municipality involvement, and then municipality grants permits, but it is starting. Only authorities are responsible for granting any building permit. Sorry. Now let's go to real number 2. This is now one more thing I told you. These bylaws, regulations generally till today apply to urban areas only, not to the rural areas. But I think there is a plan that rural areas may also come under the purview of the building laws, building bylaws, the regulations. Now let's go to laws involved. It's very important to see what laws apply to the buildings for the purpose of operations of various provisions of buildings, construction. Now there's one National Building Code 2005. There was a code till now also, but in the last few years there have been many revisions in the past years. And in 2005, our Bureau has published National Building Code 2005, which is a big voluminous document. It has been prepared after a lot of discussions, calibrations, proposals, propositions, etc., etc., from hundreds of thousands of engineers, promoters, builders, government, MPs, MLA, etc., etc. And these are directions, actually, not mandatory provided, but it's a directions to various bodies, municipalities, authorities, and all persons involved with the building construction to abide by this. Actually, municipalities and bodies have to amend their existing bylaws, so that there's a chapter in these building code provisions. Number two, there is for administration, where involvement of professionals is required. That is all to be amended by the municipalities. Some municipalities have amended, while others have yet to amend. Now, these municipalities and authorities are actually constituted by the statutory laws and statutes, and these are very powerful. Then there are civil procedures application comes, and then codes, various codes of buildings and others. Safety laws are involved. Safety is very important. It's involved. And building services laws, construction specifications, and these are the statutory provisions and regulations. National Building Code is a very big document which none of you may be able to read all, but even the professionals may not have a chance to read all. But this applies for the general guidance. Then civil procedure is very important, because without civil procedures nothing is possible. There are so many stages of procedure involved. For example, affidavits undertaken, sworn in, then the applications are submitted, notices come, and approvals come from the government, so forth, so on and so forth. And codes, the building codes, engineering codes, architectural codes, safety laws. Without safety, there is a danger of dying people, or accidents may occur. Safety laws may not be very strong, but laws can be very strong. Safety is very important. Without safety, no building can be constructed, because if something collapses, many people will die. If building collapses, many people will die. The building services law. Building services law means it applies to there was some disturbance, I think. Let us pause. I'm sorry, there was some disturbance of the electricity, and there was some disturbance. Now it's come back again. Let's see what I was saying about this statutory provisions. And let's go to professional management. Professional management is very important here for the purpose of building designs and construction. Without professional management, nothing is possible. Maybe common man doesn't understand this, but it's very important. In this personal involved architect, structural engineer, roof engineer, building services engineer, estimation engineer, construction engineer, supervisors, foremen, skilled workers. I'll explain to the requirement of these guys. Let's say architect. Architect, what is architect? Everybody can say architect. No, architect means nowadays, according to the Architect Act 1972, any person registered with Council of Architects of India can authorize himself to write or to entitle himself to write architect, and he can do the job of architect. Before that act, everybody used to write architect, but now no. Only that person who is registered with the Council of Architects has an authority to use this style and title as architect. No other person can do. And architect also has some limitations. He can work on the setting, plans, architectural plans, architectural elevations, sections. He cannot interfere in the job of structural engineers. Now let's go to structural engineers. Structural engineers. Now engineer is a very wide term. Engineer, structural engineer, proof engineer, building services engineer, estimation engineer. Now what is an engineer? First of all, let us say engineers. Engineer, you may say anybody is an engineer. Somebody is doing diploma in engineer, somebody is doing degree in engineer. Yes, that's right, that is engineering education. Any diploma in engineering of 3 years engineering is education of engineering, like 5 years or 4 years engineering degrees B, that's also engineer, called degree engineer, diploma engineer, degree engineer. Now, there was a law that's called Charter, Royal Charter of 1935, given to the Institution of Engineers India, which was constituted in 1920, and then this charter was granted to it. That charter says, what is engineer? Engineer means a chartered engineer. An engineer who is having a degree in engineering, and he is having at least 5 years professional experience, and he is having a membership of the Institution of Engineers, membership means associate membership. If he is associate membership, having 5 years of experience, and he applies to the Institution of Engineers, he can be elected as the associate member of the Institution of Engineers, and this associate member of the Institution of Engineers is, by virtue of the charter's provision, can designate himself a chartered engineer. And that person, as far as India is concerned, till to date, is only a chartered engineer authorized by charter, and that charter is law. Engineers Act It is still in the process. It has not been enacted by the Parliament of India. It may take many years, but it won't be that powerful because it will give only the title engineer and not a chartered engineer. A structural engineer means the person who is experienced on the structure for many years can work as a structural engineer after becoming chartered engineer. Similarly, proof engineer means any person who has authority as a chartered engineer and who has experience of checking the designs, certifying the designs correctness, design rightness, and quality designs. He is called proof engineer. And building services engineer. Services are of many types: electrical, plumbing, HVAC, lifts, elevators, IT, fire, prevention, fire protection, fire suppression, and acoustics, or all services. So it was Slovenian, estimation engineer, construction engineer. Now these engineers refer to registration of engineers, and even municipalities, etc. They started registration, but that is valid. And you can see construction engineer, supervisors, foremen, skilled workers. All these engineers are very important on sites, in designs, in coordination, in completion, in pre-commissioning, in commissioning, everywhere. The job of a structural engineer is very important. Without his calculations, without his stability check, without his hard work, without his recheck and modeling, the structures are not possible. Good structures are not possible. Architect's job is imagination, and then conversion of his imagination into the building design according to the requirement of the user or the owner. The structural engineer is a very good aid to his design, because structural engineer has to save the money on the structure, has to deliver a structure that is very, very good, very, very efficient, has to use the economy on the use of steel and use of concrete. And he is very important. Proof engineers similarly is a vision on that, and services engineers are just supporting engineers to all these, because they have to make the building in service for the users. Construction engineer has to implement these ideas for all of these on the site, and construction engineers also are from services, and supervisors are for the laborers and for the site on the junior cadre, and then foremen and skilled workers who are directly responsible for the day-to-day works execution. And then we go to next one, state management. State management. What is the meaning of state management? What is state? State means any body, any corporate body which has been constituted by any act of parliament or by any act of the state. That is called a state. For example, police is a state, municipality is a state, parliament is a state, judiciary is like that, means statutory, which is considered by statute. There is a municipal commissioner. Municipal commissioner is responsible for a building permit. Administrators, estate officers are also responsible. Building officials, who visit sites and inspects various government agencies, they are also responsible. The fire services, health services, environment police, etc. Police are responsible for non-total incidents, for safety maintenance, for everything. These are indirectly responsible. These people don't work in detail, but they just supervise like supplements. Then let's go to the next one, public documents. What are public documents? Any documents where public has an access is called public documents. They should be registered or unregistered. Actually, registration documents, registrations are there, and public can access all those. That's what public documents. Foundation completion certificate, for example. Building permit, for example, anybody can see building permit of any building approved. Even under Right to Information Act, building permit is a public document. Foundation of completion certificate is also a public document. Supervision certificate of any building is a public document that is issued by architect or by engineer, anybody. Both are public representatives, public servants. And structural stability certificate is also issued by structural engineer. That is also a public document. Completion or occupation certificate issued by these government authorities of commissioners or estate officers or these people, these statutory officers who just announce that building has been completed according to the building plan submitted and all the bylaws all are complied. And this is what they do. Building permit process A. To obtain a building permit, there is a process. One has to apply the process. Without that, nothing can happen. There are submissions of drawings. There are submission of drawings as architectural submissions. In these architectural submissions, floor area ratio is to be submitted. Floor area ratio means total coverage that is to be constructed in relation to the area of the plot. Then architectural drawings, details, various floors, plans, sections, elevations, openings, schedules, specifications. All these are to be submitted in architectural submissions. This is very big job for the purpose of submission and for execution. Then there is next one, building process B, which is for structural requirements, meeting of structural requirements. Without the structural designs, what permit cannot be obtained. Structural drawings and details, foundations, various floors, framing plans, staircase sections, reinforcement, details, bar bending, schedules, specifications. Structural drawings. What is structural drawing? The prime drawing is giving the coordinates, grids of the plan of a building, showing location of columns, location of beams, location of foundations, their details, where steel is coming, what thickness of concrete slab, what thickness of foundation, what size of column, size of beam, section of beam. All these are the documents that give structural details, bar bending schedules, how the bar shall be bent, what are the specifications of concrete, of steel. These are all given on the structural requirements, the structural drawings, and this is very important for the purpose of execution, purpose of structural stability, purpose of working out, and purpose of so many things. And then there is another one, building permit process C, which says services submissions, electromechanical drawings and details, HVAC drawings, plumbing drawings, various floor plans, sections, designs, shop drawings, schedule specifications, schedules and specifications. Now, electromechanical drawings are actually schematic because design, real general government shop drawings are working drawings. Similarly, HVAC drawings, plumbing drawings are the same. Various floor plans will give the crucial rooms and how the staff system will come, and shop drawings, schedules and specifications. Means these are not that much detailed, but later on these details are prepared. And let's go to 10. This is construction process A. Now we are entering the construction as the other one has gone. Construction process A, works execution. What is works execution? Appointment of contractor, all building services designs, coordination and execution, prosecution in parallel as and when required. Appointment of contractor is very, very important, because if you're not a good contractor, whether the contractor is on total package rate or an item rate, or the contractor is on labor rate, without a good professional contractor, your building won't be erected good. If you don't want a good building, you have to elect a good contractor, award the contract, and this exercise shall be done by either by the architect or by the engineer who is your professional. And they will see what cost is charging, and how is the background, and how good he is. You can have 2 or 3 contractors and select out of them the best one. And coordination and execution. Coordination execution is the purpose of coordination. You have so many drawings. There's architectural, structural, services, and many other drawings. You have to see that these drawings talk to each other. It should not be like this. One column is shown in the architectural drawing as one location, and the structural drawing shows another location. Everything in architectural drawing, and everything in the structural drawing should be in line to each other, should be in conjunction to each other, so that design and coordination and execution move in unison, jointly. There should be no problem to the engineers working on site, to the foreman working on site, and building should be moving very nicely. There should be no clash between each other, and columns, beams, and structural items should be correctly erected, If there is any error in the structure that cannot be eliminated easily, it's very difficult to rectify the error. Therefore, it's necessary that coordination and executions are done very nicely, very carefully. This is also called prosecution is parallel as when required. If we don't do this, we will suffer, our cost will suffer. As I told before, it's very easy to do concrete work, but it is very difficult to remove concrete work and do it again. It is very expensive, very costly. Let's go to number 11 now. Construction process B. Setting out an excavation, foundation basements, foundation completion, superstructures, roofing, plastering, rendering, flooring, decoration, doors and windows, landscape. Setting out an excavation. Excavation is second exercise. First exercise is setting out. That's called layout of building. Layout of building should be in line with the drawings or the layout given by the zoning drawing, by the department, by the government. Excavation should be done accordingly. If excavation is done out of that setting, it shall be wrong. Setting out is done generally by the surveyors, land surveyors. Foundations is very big term now, because foundations is not a simply foundation. It also includes excavations to the correct setting out lines and correct labels, then making of labels. After that, foundations are to be, for example, isolated footing. It could be an RCC, raft foundation. It could be file foundation. It could be, or it could be any other foundations, strip beam foundation, or for foundations frames in the foundations frame, both sides, x-axis, y-axis. This is very important. It's then basements. If there's a basement also, the structural work is to be done, foundations and then basements, retaining walls, etc. Basements are very important, very critical also, as it carries waterproofing also. If there's a waterproofing, because there's water and there's danger to the concrete as well as the dewatering also be done. If a source of strata is bad, water table is high, water table is high, then dewatering is also done. Dewatering is done continuously until we come out of basements and foundations. Then foundation completion. After all these foundations of structures are over, waterproofing is done, backfilling is done, and we reach up to the level of the ground, and that is called foundation completion. At foundation completion, inspection is done by the authorities, and completion is given regarding the foundation. Foundation is over. They check the layout, they check the setting out, and they check the okay according to drive authorities. Then that's called the foundation completion. After that, superstructures. What is superstructures? All structures are about the ground level of superstructures. Foundations are called substructures, and about any up to any level of superstructures. And superstructures generally include columns up to any level, beams, roofs, suspended slabs, cantilevers, balconies, up to any level are called superstructure. Parapet, brazati, stairs, staircases, lifts, wells, everything. Roofing. Roofing is a confusing item. In buildings and flat decks, particularly roofing. Roofing means the portion on the top, which won't be floored, which is a waterproofing exercise. It's a waterproofing system that is done on the roofing, and that guarantee is for 10 years. It's very important. Then plastering. You have to protect the block blocks and arches and everything by doing a thin layer of plaster. Plastering, the cement and lime plaster. Rendering is also done. Rendering is called plaster for the external surfaces, and plastering is called for plaster for internal surfaces. And flooring is on the horizontal portion. Flooring, any kind of flooring can be done on the grid slab or on the floor slab. And then decorations, which painting, varnish, paint, any other thing, woodwork, any other work, doors and windows, aluminum doors, wooden doors, steel doors. These are all called decoration items. Then there's landscape and anything which is outside the building, the open area, but to cover it from production point of view and you can say workable point of view, and that's called landscape. It includes hard landscape and soft landscape. Hard landscape is called, for example, interlocking blocks or any sandstone or any other stone on the flooring. And anything else we can say when we plant, when we do grassing and grass work, and all this called soft landscape. Hard and soft landscapes. These are called. So, and then we can see this process B. Now let's go to slide number 12. That's construction process C, which is procurement and testing of materials, procurement and testing of all materials procured or produced on site, and services activities in parallel as and when required. We have to procure materials from market. Those materials should be nice according to specifications, and tests are done. All tests are done for those materials, and we are producing concrete material on site, mortar on site, and so many things on site. This testing shall also be done for those materials, and these are selected in parallel. And all those activities similarly for the services, electrical, mechanical, etc., etc. So all be done in parallel. That's what is considered process C. Then we go to next one, that is 13. Construction process B, inspection by the state officials in parallel as and when required, and completion, closing and handover, followed by building maintenance. When the work moves at various stages, the inspections is conducted by government officials, government engineers, as I said before, state officials. Also, at the completion, they inspect, and closing and handover is done by the contractor to the client, and completion is obtained. Then building maintenance goes on for years. The contractual is generally for 1 year or 2 years. Then it is continued forever by the owner. And then let's go to 14 number. That's material A, structurals. Concrete, reinforcement, binding wire, soil fill, concrete protection, membrane, concrete spaces, plastic cover blocks, concrete admixtures. Material guidance it is. Again, I am saying concrete. Concrete is a very composite material. We can say it comprises of many materials. It comprises of cement. It comprises cement. You can say it's one of the ingredients. The second is sand. Any kind of sand. You can say coarse sand. It should be. Then there should be aggregate, stone aggregate. That is unit color, but it is coarse aggregate of certain sizes. And there's reinforcement. We call it steel bars, plain steel or deformed steel, high yield steel. These both are used in conjunction, because concrete and rebars, reinforcement, they have natural alliance, like they move together, means their movement is almost same. So concrete takes all compressive strength, and reinforcement takes all tensions and movements, because in the frame there are bending moments, there are shear force, there are torsion, there are so many other stress type, there are so many other stresses, which reinforcement, shear and concrete share together and as a composite material. They should be in line. Concrete, that's what we call it RCC, means reinforced cement concrete. Concrete is alone before, now it has been embedded with reinforcement, that is both act together, and that's what we call RCC. Reinforcement means there's shortage of good tension in concrete, and there's shortage of movement taking capacity in concrete, which reinforcement shares. Binding wire is very strong material, very wise steel material, and it works, it serves in RCC to keep the various parts together in one position. Then there's soil fill. Soil fill means in the foundation there's a backfill. Backfill should be done by granular, coarse soil. If you do it by plastic soils, for example, clay and silt, it will not work better for the building, as it will expand and when it comes in contact with water and then shrink. So building will collapse. So let us say sand, graded sand. Graded sand is nice. Desert sand is nice. The sand which has liquidity limit up to 35% and plastic index up to 6% is called very good sand, very good soil for backfill purpose. Then concrete production, because soil contains many types of chlorides and sulfates which are harmful to concrete, and these move with water below the soil. When water moves below the foundations, it brings with many chemicals, and that water motion gives harm to the concrete. It should be avoided. Water mobility is very important, which we cannot imagine, we cannot anticipate at the time of construction. It can happen anytime, even after years. So this water brings with it soil and chlorides, sulfates, etc. For the protection of that, we use waterproofing membranes on the footings, on the foundations. Then concrete spaces. It's very important to keep the steel in proper position so that proper cover is given to the concrete. We'll say 50 mm, 75 mm, 40 mm, 20 mm, 20 mm for slab, 30 mm for beam, then 40 mm for columns, 30 mm for beams, and like that, 75 mm for foundations. These covers are used either from concrete, using by installing concrete, or by plastic. Covers are also available, so we can use any type of this. Plastic are ready-made, while concrete covers we have to produce on site and cure them. Concrete admixtures, various types of concrete admixtures are available to keep changing the concrete properties. For example, let us say concrete sets in half an hour. We don't want it to be set in half an hour. We add some admixture into that so that it goes on working up to 2 hours, and after that we can use it. Similarly, microsilica is there, which enhances the properties of